So one of the more interesting projects that showed up on Algorand and we are live. What is going on, people? Welcome to Frugal BC and crypto prices surging, but actually pulling back a little bit as I go live, which is kind of a surprise. Just recently, of course, we've had several days of green candles, which is always super fun. And so we got plenty to dive into today. And let's see, let us know what you're out there. I'll go Gary in the chat saying muted. Uh-oh. Is it really? Is it really? Looks like it's everything seems to be working on my end. Is it really muted? Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna make sure we're actually live here. Oh, you can hear it. Okay. Hold on. Let me back up. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, it must be. It looks like it's working on my end too. Okay. Thanks for. But always thanks for keeping an eye out for me. Yeah, it must be on your end because other people are hearing it. I can hear it on my YouTube. So anyway, like we said, big big pump these days, and it's nice to see. It's a nice little reprieve. I don't know how long it's going to last. Some people are saying, well, maybe this is finally that bull run that we've all been expecting, and who knows. But it is nice to see things going up. Heard the blunder in the waiting room from your video, but when you were talking it wasn't. Okay, cool. And welcome Elko Gary, welcome Luke Donovan. Appreciate you guys being here. And like I said, it's nice to see some stuff going on. Now, I recently switched to Stream Elements, and Stream Elements is allowing me to stream to YouTube, to Kick, to Twitch, and to X all at the same time. And it's completely free. They have a sponsorship platform, which haven't really done anything with yet. And there's some like game you can play and stuff. I don't know. I haven't really messed around with that. I looked at it a little bit this morning, but the main thing is it allows me to go to all these different platforms and do it for free. So we're live on all those platforms, and give us a shout out if you're at one of those places. We actually got, for some reason, it really helped us get a lot of viewership on Kick. My Kick video on there was viewed almost 100 times, which is pretty crazy. And I gained some new followers on there, which is cool. No subscribers yet. I'm sure that's coming. But if you're in the room, by the way, you can give us a like if you're watching this. Let us know you're out here. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, otherwise we'll get into the narrative. I got some news for us to watch today. I got a video on HBAR in our HBAR segment, and on Algorand. We got a video on Algorand as well. So lots of good stuff. We're going to deal with that today, and we're going to look at the prices, which are just started pulling back. And we're having so much fun with those, just stacking green candles. So, a little pullback, that's going to happen. Not really a super big concern, but we're going to see who's performed the best over the 24-hour and the 7-day, and that's what we're going to get into. So why don't we just go right to, it might be a little bit shorter. Like I said, we are live on Tuesdays and Fridays now at 10:30 a.m. So let's dive in. Let's see this. Let's see what we got here. Shark HP saying pump that algo. Appreciate that. Algo pumping. I'll go to this one. We got Algorand pumping. We got everything pumping. But let's go. Bitcoin was briefly above 94,000 today, and now back down to, it's actually down a little bit on the 24-hour, sitting at 92.5. Still a big pop up. You can see, I don't know if you can see, you can't see it, but you can see on the 7-day, we're still up 4%. And it's funny because whenever I look on my mobile phone, it goes back to a previous total. So it was it always reads 88,000 until it refreshes. And so it's fun to watch it refresh to a much higher number. Ethereum still at 3,200. That was actually around 3,300 before. It's pulling back a little bit. XRP having some nice price action. I'm sitting at about 4x up right now in that, so that's pretty nice. I definitely took some profits though. And let's look over the 24 hours. Jasmine coin on top. It was SWE not that long ago. Render actually pretty high up at almost 15, 14 and a half. We got Sweet at 10.2%. Begum saying hello, Algo family from a very hot South Africa. Wow. Mario Boz saying be Munko. We got some Munko fans in the chat. You know, my Munko's actually been, we'll look at that. You know, we're going to look at that later on, so stay tuned. Yeah, IOTA up there, BitTensor, Morpho, Injective. Actually, Polygon going the right direction finally, although I'm so far down on Polygon. But 26% on the week. So that's helpful at least. You need a lot more to get back to anything close to being profit for me anyway. Tezos doing well over 24 hours, as has XRP, sitting at 229, like I said. Even Cosmos having a nice turnaround, which is nice. I've got a nice little bag of Cosmos, so that's cool. Anyway, that's 24 hours. Let's see, how about the 7-day? It's probably not going to be much different. Yeah, Render has just been on a tear lately. And then we got Virtuals, we got Jasmine. PayPay Coin had a pump, as did Bonk, so we got some meme coin action. Stacks, Floki at 41%. Artificial Superintelligence up there. MYX Finance, that one's been doing really well lately. As has Pengu, as has Pump.fun. These are all just huge weekly pumps. Even Shibu, I got a little moon bag of Shibu, which is fun. It just means all my initial investment is taken out. Yeah, like I said, Polygon even in the top 20 for weekly pumps, as is Cosmos, just below it. And even Algorand, look at Algorand, 27 as far as weekly. It's about almost 20% up. It was actually a bit higher. It's been falling back. It was like 14.5 cents. So we'll look deeper into that. Oh, we even got Ondo here. Not a huge pumper by comparison, but hey, 18%, can't complain too much about that. Still at 44, still under 50 cents. Yeah, even further down, again, near protocol, you know, I'm still well under my average buy, and I was way up on it, which is funny. I've taken a ton of profit. Hedera was over 13 cents, now falling back a little bit. So that's just kind of the story with crypto in general. Anything interesting on trending? We'll just take a look. Algo Gary says, my dog is a 65-pound Shiba Inu mix. He looks like a fox. That's cool. Shibas are cool dogs. Green Blue says, I hope you already bought RAM for your new computer build. Yeah, I'm screwed because that's like one of the only things I didn't buy. I've got like 2 things left to buy, and that is one of them. So I am thoroughly hosed. I'm just gonna have to eat it on that. Yeah, Sweet in the trending category, and then a whole bunch of stuff. It's nice to see some like solid projects in the trending category. Spiritual Beer says, yeah, DDR5 RAM is nuts. Yeah, I'm hosed on that. Hopefully that will turn around soon. I haven't even looked in a while. So nothing super interesting on there. Nice to be, let's just click on this here. I know you can't see the chart exactly, but it's nice to have, we can move this over. Oops. What even is that? Here's where we're at now on the Greed and Fear. We are at 49 neutral. As Bitcoin price starts to rise, that's a good turnaround because we were very, very unhappy here in this November, December period here. And sentiment starting to turn around actually at neutral, which is kind of nice. We'll pull that back over. Sitting right kind of smack dab in the middle at 49, which is good. Yearly high last year was 76, and we were down as far as low as 10, which is interesting. So what else can we look at before we move on? Gainers, we're just going to get a whole bunch of S-coins, so to speak. Yeah. There's a Trump AI. There's a Mega GameStop coin. Just meme. This part you didn't even try. You didn't even try here. Okay, hold on. Like you didn't even try. You're just like, just meme coin. We're not even gonna like think of a name. most of you, if you're seeing these, you probably missed them. Although this one's interesting because you see some of these where they have a couple waves. So, who knows? Maybe you can catch an extra wave. I just tend to ignore them. And yeah, the coin market index 20 index is, up 7% on the week. So going to be slow in both directions, as indices tend to be. They tend to pump less, but they also drop less. It's just a way to kind of average things out. So, and I guess you can actually buy it, which is, yeah, you can buy it on PancakeSwap, Reserve, MEXC, and Bitmart. So good way to kind of, if you just don't want to, you kind of want a hands-off way of trade, managing crypto, buying crypto might not be a bad idea. Spiritual Beer says, I got an upgrade set for my nephew for Christmas, $350. Well, that's a nice gift. Damn. Yeah, I got some more parts for Christmas, and I have to buy the GPU and the RAM. So 2 very expensive bits that I will have to complete. But anyway, we're going to go to Haystack. Actually, that's not bad, so we'll leave it. Yeah, you can see everything kind of pulling back a little bit. Still, Akina Inu up 7%, almost 20% on the 7-day. That's pretty good. Alpha Arcade up 28.7. 35 Grant 8 says, I got 6,000 HBAR going for 20. What else is, what's in double digits? Votecoin in double digits. Everyday Algonaut in the chat. New subscriber, bro, all the way from Miami. Appreciate you being here, my friend. HBAR, we're big fans of HBAR. We're going to get the HBAR charts next, so just stick around. We're coming. Buscoin is doing well. I just wish that one would go away. And DeFi actually doing pretty well, as is Coop. Look at Coop. I can't go down any further, but I can drag it up a little bit just to show you Coop there. Coop coin made by Coop Daniels, who has his own live stream that he does kind of sporadically. I've seen he'll have these patterns where he does, he has them for a while and then he kind of disappears for a bit. By the way, I love this little ticker. It'd be cool if I could get this little ticker running across my stream or something. That'd be kind of neat, huh? Did you know there's Link on there? That's pretty cool. Dr. Drummond says, I've got 20 million HBAR waiting for new all-time highs later this year. Yeah, we're going to actually, let's go. Well, actually, hold on. Before we go to Saucer Swap to show the, and I mostly, since Haystack is a sponsor, I like using their platform. But I want to take a look at these Algorand charts here. Are we, here's what we're looking at here. And this is really important. We're on the daily chart, and you can see we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 daily candles that were up. That is really great when you can stack candles. Now they're not like this. They're not like when we went from 18 cents to about 30 some cents. That's true, but heading in the right direction, and you got to be happy about that. We haven't had that many candles in a row, and I think we had it here, okay, back in September, and they weren't as big, but we can start stacking some of these candles in a row, and we can start building up again, because I had a comment where someone was like mad that 2 million HBAR, that's a lot of HBAR. Yeah, by the way, I bought all my HBAR like 5 cents, so I am up. Even currently, I'm still up like, what, about 2.5, thereabouts. Hold on a second. People get crazy mad. Shark XP says, waiting for the bills to pass. Yeah. Well, we had the Genius Act. That's been passed, but we really need the Clarity Act passed. And I think the clock is ticking because I'm not sure what's going to happen in the 2026 midterms. So if you want to pass crypto legislation, and I think there's a pathway to do it, but you really want to do it in the first half of 2026 if you're the administration, because if you don't, that's going to be a problem. You might face some serious problems. But anyway, yeah, let's look at how HBAR tokens are doing. Get it to load up here a little bit. Yeah, HBAR actually up 0.63% on the 24 hours. Does this give us a nice little chart? It does, and you can actually get candles. Yeah, same thing. Maybe not quite as robust, but we've had some decent, at least 4 days of, we're on the daily, right? Oh, we're on the hour, so. Wait, that can't be right. Oh, it's not actually giving us, even though I put day. Oh, I see. Are we on daily now? Oh, no, not quite. No, it's not daily. Yeah, the charting isn't quite as robust as it is on Algorand, on Haystack, or on Vestige, but it is nice to see this anyway. And you can see we've been largely stacking green candles on HBAR, so that's always good to see. But let's go back to the Explore tab. That does not move fast. Yeah, sauce down a little bit. We've got anything doing like really crazy over 24 hours. BSL, I don't know much about that, but that's been doing pretty well. Everything kind of, Gib. Now Gib was way up before. Now it's taken quite a loss here, which is kind of interesting. Crowdy up a little bit. Wrapped ETH up. Well, that's kind of more not really super relevant. LCX has done pretty well. Almost 12.5%. I really want them to add another line here for 7-day. And thanks for Haystack for having that. Big sponsor of the channel, by the way. You should check them out in the description below. We're very happy to have their support. DOSA at 12.16%. HLQT at almost 16. Centix took a huge drop. Oh, Galaxy, we know that one. That's the creator platform. It's at 4.4%. Green Blue Algo talking about silver. Silver and gold have been doing really, really well. Last I checked this morning, I'm up about, oh gosh, what was it? It's like 6 or 7%, almost 7% on my gold buys. And that's it's pretty recent that I've been doing that. So, yeah, and these just kind of go on. It just keeps auto refreshing. So kind of neat to see, but that's the charts for today. And then we got a couple segments. So let me pull those up. In the meantime, if you're new here, haven't just joining us, please hit the like button. That will help spread the video to more people. I think we got a pretty decent audience, but the one thing about Stream Elements now is it doesn't give me the live feed, which is, kind of a bummer. Well, I can't even see I actually can't see it on Studio either, which is kind of weird. Obviously we're live because I can see you guys. So I will just look on, I'll just pull it up while I'm here since we're off screen. Yeah, I got a nice little audience, so please hit the like button if you're new here. And just like 305 Grant did, please hit the subscribe button so you can see all our videos. And I just don't see why you wouldn't. But I appreciate everyone being here. We got an Algorand segment coming up, and we got a Hedera segment coming up too. And both of them we're going to have videos to react to, which is always kind of fun. So keep an eye out for that. I'm just going to check these really quick, and then we will get to it. I just want to comment on a couple of these things. Probably should wait. Okay, anyway, let me get this set up here. We're going to do Algorand first. A lot of cool stuff here today to talk about. And well, as you guys know, when I do my segments, I only respond to chat that's relevant because I clip these later for YouTube. So, and by the way, if you're on Kick or you're on Twitch, give us a shout out, leave us a comment. We just don't get a lot of comments. I get like fake comments on Kick. I get a lot of, would you like more viewers? I always take those as a signal. If I get more of those, it means my stream is at least reaching people. All right, let me get a quick. Let me just set this up really quick. All right, well, lover, hater, Algorand CEO Stacey Warden just joined the Schwab Network for an interview, and she had a good chance to shout out Algorand. Now, I haven't watched the whole thing yet, so we're going to watch it live together. I'm going to react to it in real time, and this is going to start out our Algorand segment. We got plenty of other Algorand news, though, so stay tuned after that. Lots of stuff to talk about, but, well, let's just get into it. All right, here is Stacey Warden.
To Market on Close, I'm Marley Caden here in our Chicago headquarters. Let's turn our attention to the crypto industry with our next guest. Joining us now, Stacey Warden, the CEO of Algorand Foundation. Stacey, thank you for being with us and Happy New Year to you. You know, as we take a look at crypto and the moves that we made as we closed out in 2025, what are some of your key takeaways as we head into this new year?
So I think we're going to see a lot of the trends that we saw in 2025 increase in 2026. So we saw 50 billion odd of ETF inflows in 2025. I think we're going to see that possibly reach those same numbers in 2026.
Yeah, interesting that she brought up the ETF because as of date, I don't believe there is an Algorand ETF in the US. There is one overseas that I reported on, but not one in the US, which, I think if you're Algorand, if you're a fan of Algorand, you want to see that. And I wonder why she chose to signal that, because it seems like if she's signaling that, maybe that's some indication that they're actually planning or working, that's being worked on in the background. Because otherwise, I don't know why she would signal the ETFs unless I guess if she's just being honest and saying, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's coming. That could make some sense, I suppose. But I think pay attention to that signaling, I think.
We saw stable coins go from 200 billion to 310 billion by the end of the year. I expect to see another maybe 100 billion in stable coins this year. So this kind of deeper integration between traditional finance and crypto, I think that's going to continue. And that's going to mean things like stable coins, real world asset tokenization, and traditional financial products with crypto digital asset underlying.
And you bring up a good point, and one that I've certainly heard before in a crypto conversation about this shift from crypto as a trading venue to crypto as a part of financial infrastructure. What does that transition look like in the real economy in 26?
Well, I think one thing from a markets perspective, which will be very interesting, is that so Bitcoin, if you think about Bitcoin as the crypto industry more broadly, Bitcoin is a very high beta macro asset, right? And so the more that the crypto industry in general is integrated with finance, it's going to start responding to the same kinds of things that traditional financial assets respond to. Things like liquidity, things like the interest rate environment, things like macro headlines, things like.
By the way, I think that's why we're already seeing this really I think we're done with the 4-year cycles. And I think a lot of that is because we have so much institutional investment in this right now. And so you're seeing more of a pairing with macro conditions than you would previously. Because I think what happens is once the crypto starts pumping, the institutions will start taking profits because they're more invested in this now, and that's what they're doing. So there's less separation than I think a lot of people would probably want from crypto, and that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing.
It's like regulatory risk rather than this kind of older school Bitcoin 4-year halving cycle, and what will that look like, and where are we in the Bitcoin cycle? It's not going to be treated as this distinct thing anymore.
Yeah,
we're going to have to think about digital assets in the same way that we think about traditional assets, because they're so much more tightly tied together.
And you mentioned regulation, and that's certainly a big part of the conversation when it comes to mainstream adoption of crypto here, particularly in the U.S. Does clearer regulation here in America change or affect in any way who's willing to participate? Because I think as we've gotten more clarity and more acts, including the Clarity Act, no pun intended there, getting approved, we are seeing some of these institutions and some of these institutional investors step off of the sidelines and become a bigger part of the conversation.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you absolutely nailed it. We're going to see bigger allocations from endowments and from insurance companies and very traditionally regulatory risk-averse institutional players, for sure. And we would like a broad market structure bill in the form of the Clarity Act, of course. And do I think that's going to happen in Q1? I don't know. Nobody knows. There's a lot of factors. We've already gotten so much done, and this administration has gotten a lot done.
I think that's spot on. I just don't think it's. I would expect it. I think it's got to happen by summer. I mean, I think there's going to be real trouble because the elections are going to start ramping up, and it's become an election issue. Trump has kind of turned it into an attack point because he came out with this meme coin that he launched right after he was elected, which I think was terrible for crypto. It sucked a lot of liquidity out of the market. And it also, in an age where you're trying to give legitimacy to crypto, him launching that coin was just the opposite of legitimacy. It made the industry look really bad. And so I was pretty frustrated with that move because we're trying to get regulatory clarity, and I think we're getting there, but it undermines the effort, in my opinion.
Of course, the stablecoin legislation, the Genius Act, is the most important. But other things that have flown under the radar a little bit, like new OCC guidance that banks can make markets in crypto assets without having to hold those assets in inventory. These kinds of things are going to be very important for institutional adoption.
And as we continue to see these record inflows into crypto that we're seeing, this quantum computing conversation, this Q-Day conversation keeps coming up about.
I'm going to be honest, the quantum thing, it's pure narrative. I just don't think it's so far away that right now, it's just not that important. It will be someday, but there's so much time to solve this for so many networks. I know Algorand people are going to get mad at me. But I really think it's just not going to be that. It's not going to be the thing that moves the needle for at least 5 years, if not longer. Now, if you got a really long time horizon, that might be a good bet, but I feel like this is probably going to be solved. And a good point that I heard on another podcast was even if quantum computers really become a thing, there's so many bigger targets than crypto that it's likely going to be turned to those first. And that's something I hadn't considered before. So it's worth talking about, but I don't think it's the game changer a lot of people think it is. Yeah, Dr. Druman says lost a lot of money on Trump coin. Yeah, exactly. But even regardless of it, I mean, I just think it was a bad move at the wrong time.
This growing debate whether it could one day break cryptocurrencies if people could just steal your money right out from under you. How real is that risk, in your opinion, and how urgent is it for investors right now?
Well, I am not a cryptographer, and I'm certainly not a quantum cryptographer, but I will say that the risk that is being talked about right now, and you're right, the whole crypto ecosystem is very exercised about that, but that is really primarily targeted at Bitcoin. So there is a question around the security of Bitcoin wallets if you move funds.
Yeah, that's even that's another point. Like even if they do aim it, you think they're gonna aim it at Algorand? Like there's such a small amount of liquidity compared to something like Bitcoin or Ethereum that even if it does turn to crypto, it's gonna turn to those first. I mean, it's not impossible. It's never impossible, but the amount of expense involved means that the people that are running these quantum computers are definitely going to target. They're going to go for bigger targets first. I think that's absolutely the case.
Funds, and it gets a bit subtle, so I don't want to say that I don't want to be alarmist about it. But if you look at a chain that's already quantum secure in the history of transactions, like I'm proud to say the Algorand blockchain is, we are already quantum secure in our history, which means that you can't go back and muck around with the order of transactions on chain. But even we have work to do in terms of making wallets quantum secure, making the VRF function that runs our consensus mechanism quantum secure. So the whole ecosystem is very focused on this. I think minds are quite focused now. I think the threat, I am not credible to make this prediction, I will say, but I think the threat is, still in the 10-year range. But if you're working back from 10 years and you're thinking about an ecosystem where the players are very decentralized and there's not a lot of, decision-making foci of power, then you've got to start, if it's 10 years away, that's pretty close. You've got to start gearing up now. And that.
Yeah, close-ish. Green Blue Algo says, what is easier to guess, your 24 words or your 4-digit PIN? Well, that's precisely the point. There's just going to be so many easier targets compared to crypto. So many more lucrative targets is what I should say. So Algorand's like in a good spot for this. It's got quantum security. The history is already secure. Algorand has created its first quantum secure transaction. Now that's not, it's very expensive to do this, by the way. That's why it's not just like live right now. It's very computer intense, as my understanding. So that's probably something to think about too. But yeah, I think she's spot on. I think Green Blue here is spot on as well.
That will require getting a lot of developers organized around it.
And I know Algorand is one of the groups, the few
Also, why did she say that? That's crazy.
Chains that's actively working on making a quantum resilient design. So you mentioned is something being quantum secure. What does that mean to be quantum safe or quantum secure in practice?
Well, the real thing that you have to be very careful about is a blockchain is a ledger of transactions. And so if a bad person could go into that ledger and, take some coins away from me and give them to you just by kind of like changing the accounting on the ledger, then that actually means that you have those coins and I no longer have them. There's no kind of cross verification. So you have to be very careful that the history of transactions of the chain cannot be tampered with. That's the most important component of quantum security. And that's what we have focused a lot of time on. And we've been quantum secure that way for almost 5 years now.
Well, Stacey, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about crypto, its outlook for 26, and also some of the ways to protect yourself if you are holding it in blockchain. That's Stacey Warden, the CEO of the Algorand Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really interesting point. I thought she did a pretty good job overall. Is it me? Did she not just explain that Algorand has had like its entire history is secure? Right now, I mean, that's not everything. That's not current transactions, but that's the history. That's pretty good. HBAR has made a lot of progress on being quantum secure as well. So these are two cryptocurrency projects that are in the correct bucket. I do see some other chats. We'll get to those after our Algorand segment, but we got more Algorand news to talk about. So let's just go through it at the beginning. XGov update from Adri, and Adri just had a little controversy after her NFD expired, and I think it was kind of a non-starter, to be honest. She just updated it, whatever. Some people said what happened, because I was wondering wouldn't she have had that before non-fungible domains switched to subscriptions? But she said a lot of Algorand Foundation people basically restarted it so they could support non-fungible domains, which is pretty cool. Algo Gary saying, thanks, bruv. I'm sorry, Cleo Metascarasiotis says, let's go. And sorry for having difficulty pronouncing your handle, but appreciate you being here so much. And just going back to the multi-chat in case we missed. No, not really getting, we just really don't get comments on other channels other than YouTube, but that's okay. Welcome for being here. Anyway, XGov update. There's a bug on the voting card for open proposals displaying voting window elapsed instead of the time counter in some of the proposals. So it's being worked on, but they'll post an update once it's patched. But you can still vote. So in case you're wondering why it looks like you can't vote, you actually can in the XGov for any XGov people. That's what's going on. And next, some of you guys remember my interview with the Ghetto Pigeons founder. And the Ghetto Warzone game is now live in Google Play Store. As he says, it's been a wild ride, but seeing our fast-paced shooter out there for everyone to enjoy feels incredible. Time to squad up and dive in. You can currently play to earn Coup, Ballsack, Nico, Munko, Big Balls, and many more. So a lot of earning you can do on that game, and if you check out your Google Play Store, you can find it on there. So just so you know. Yeah, we had him on. He was a pretty interesting guy. Wait a minute. This is from April. How did that get... What the heck? Okay, apparently it's been there a while. I don't know why that popped up recently, but let's go on to this one. Algo, sorry about that, guys. Algo Daily Lottery. Oh, let's see. Green Blue says, oh, Cleo says, hello from Greece. Nice video. Hey, appreciate you being here, Cleo. Thanks so much. And Green Blue says, I think it's a bit BS that an NFT expire without an auto renewal option. Too important for the ecosystem. I think that would be it would be great to have an auto renew. I'm actually kind of surprised that you can't set that up, so it just pulls, it should be possible in the smart contract, right? Anyway, I want to highlight this play it's this Algo Daily Lottery, which is fascinating. Now, let's see. I'm going to pull it up. I just want to highlight this because this is super interesting. So every day you basically buy lot with Algo. So it's 1 lot per Algo, 10 lot versus 10 Algo. And that right now, for example, will give you a 21.2% win. Chance to win, and here's the here's the last one. Tier 1 won 1,600 algo. That's a lot. Tier 2 won 804. Tier 3 won 603, and it's every day, but you got to buy one every day. If you got to buy a lot every day if you want to be in, and there's rewards. So I've made some short rewards, and this is only 20. I'm making like between just a little under 3 and 7.5, basically, for having like 20 algos in. So this is like a crazy unlock. Now I'm going to, on tomorrow's channel member only video, I'm going to talk about my new strategy with this. So if you want to become a channel member, you can do that. By the way, Begum says so many people don't know it. Frugal, thanks for sharing. I'm just like, I don't know why that came up from so long ago. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Anyway, back to this Algo Daily Lottery. I just think this is awesome. Now, my question is, it seems a little bit Ponzi scheme-like, and I only say that because it seems like the rewards are dependent on new tickets being bought, and those create new lot, which create new reward pressure. So I hope they've done the math, and because I think if people stop buying tickets, I don't see where the rewards are going to come from. That's maybe there's something else happening that I don't know about. But I thought it was worth pointing out because this seems like one of the better opportunities right now in crypto. So I got my strategy. I'm going to show you the strategy. I'm going to show you the strategy later. You can see what I'm going to do with it and how I'm going to make it work for me. And let's see, there was something else about it. Maybe I didn't have it. Okay, I didn't save that. Well, I could go from memory. Someone pointed out that there was an issue with the smart contract. Or was it in here? There was some question about whether it's 15 or 20% that goes to lot holders. It's actually 15%. Yeah, I don't see it in here, but apparently there was an issue where there was a bug in the smart contract where that someone pointed out, where someone could come in and they could the founders could actually like manipulate the results. Now they're not doing that as far as we know, but they found a bug where it's possible, so they're working on patching that up. So I thought that was worth pointing out anyway. And Alpha Arcade doing 81,000 in volume. That would have been Sunday. Thanks for football, I imagine. It's still just the beginning. A few announcements coming soon from Alpha Arcade. Now, Alpha Arcade, we're big fans of this project, and we actually have the Alpha Arcade logo next to our name, which is pretty neat, as you can see up there. They basically sponsored us, helps give us a little bit of a boost, which is pretty cool. And for those that don't know, Alpha Arcade is a prediction market on Algorand, and if you hold the Alpha token, you get paid in US dollar coin rewards, which is a cut of the revenue that they make. So if you're a holder, you definitely want to see that volume go up. That's nice. And you can see the results of my experiment as a channel member, so check that out. By the way, good time to remind you guys that our live streams are available as a podcast now, so you can check out Frugal BC and search for that in Spotify and in Apple Music if you want to listen there. And you can listen to them on the go. Cordell Lewis says, what are your top 5 crypto investments? This show is fire. We will get to that after the stream, as we will the comment on XRP. We will get to that after our Algorand segment here. And I want to point out this new one that's coming up. Prize Ledger is closer to its epic launch on Algorand. We're so excited to bring something new to the ecosystem, built completely with Falcon security. That's the quantum secure security, and you'll be signing in using ParaWallet, no passwords. Just make sure you opt in, which I did opt in. You can just use that number there. If you look at Prize Ledger, you can find them. So don't know a lot about this one yet, but we will be keeping an eye on that. So this one is actually about XLM, but let's see, how's it gonna, oh, it's too big. But if you look at this chart, Algorand is number 4 in bullish sentiment. So that's pretty nice to see, right? Good to see that. Now this is before Algorand pumped further. It was only at 12.5 cents at that time, so gone up significantly, but kind of nice to see Algorand there. By the way, SWI and XRP definitely on that list. I would have thought SWI would be higher. I'll be honest. I would have thought SWI would be higher because, man, the price action on SWI has been insane. And a couple more things to go, and then we're gonna, yeah. So Tiny Man made a fee adjustment announcement. We're making a small adjustment to our fee structure, not because things are broken, but because we're planning ahead. This is about sustainability, self-reliance, and continuing to build the product our community loves. So starting January 7th, that is tomorrow as I record this, Tiny Man's trading fees will increase slightly from 0.3% to 0.3%. LPs go up a little teeny tiny bit, and the treasury goes up also a teeny tiny bit, still under 0.1%, so not a lot. Yes, LP is still in the majority. This is a small change that makes a big difference long term. And you can see volume is dropping a lot. Was this January then? Yeah, look at that. That's a big drop in volume. So now, one thing I want to skip to, there are going to be more burn fees, and there definitely needs to be more burning going on because Tiny has been tanking like crazy. And it's up a little bit now, but it's largely just been tanking. Why no governance vote? Because this is a time-sensitive operational update, not a long-term policy shift. Yeah, I guess it's tricky, right? You could make an argument that there's some policy involved there, but I get the point. Every day under the current fee structure means lost revenue the protocol could use for dev, security, and growth. That's not a decision we can delay. Now, I could argue that that could be under governance. It's always tricky, right? What counts as governance versus operational patterns? It's not like fixing a sink or something, it's not like fixing a bug or something. I mean, we're talking like, I would say your fees are kind of a policy, but it might be difficult. So I'm not going to hate on them too much, but that's why that wasn't done through governance. So you will see an increase in fees if you're using TinyMan. I still swap on there a lot. And for some reason, it's doing that thing where it mixes up my dates on my, I don't know why it does that. But anyway, last one is FIFA 26 around the corner. FIFA World Cup needs to get something working over here. What do we mean? Well, things are not going well. So these are a little small. I apologize. I think it's going to be, we'll have to work on getting this. I should probably, yeah, all right, I'll follow him back. I should probably work on getting this full screen, but I'll just read some of them to you. Your site still doesn't work. It says November 21st, which is it? You're scamming your fans. A huge event can't rely on a website that crashes after we send our hard-earned money to bees. It's still down, even though mentioned online and email. So a lot of people upset about. Now remember, FIFA used to be based on Algorand, and then they built their own chain. I believe built on back of, was it Aave or Avalanche? I can't remember which one. It's very, very strange. But, everyone was like, what the heck? Wasn't Algorand working really well? And it was. And I don't remember any problems with it when it was on Algorand. Now that it's not working. So, yeah, I think that's the last one we got. Everything else is old. So, yeah, that's our Algorand segment for today. Lots of cool stuff. Nice to see that interview with Stacey Warden on the Schwab Network. I've been seeing her out in public more often, which is pretty cool. It was AVAX. Okay, thanks. Yeah, AVAX says Buddy Punisher and Green Blue Algo. Appreciate that. Yeah, I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I just remember they switched from not Algorand, which is frustrating. So, Cordell Lewis. And by the way, I really appreciate you saying the show is fire. Top 5 crypto investments. So let me see. Let me show you I'm going to pull up my chart and I'll tell you what has done really well for me. And then I have my experiments. That's kind of another thing, and this is without updates. My top 5 were Bitcoin, Solana, Near, HBAR, and XRP. Those are the ones that did the best for me. Now, I say that with the caveat that I have no idea about Algorand because I've had so many different kinds of, I've done so much with Algorand. I'm constantly using it, and I've bought NFTs with it. I've done this and that. So it's really, really, and then I also get payments in Algorand, and a lot of that I was just putting back on the chain. So like, it's so hard for me to tell what my cost basis is in Algorand. It's all mixed up so much that unless I kept a separate bucket that was just Algorand, and then I was doing LPs for a long time. And it's one of my biggest holdings. I will say that just because of, I tend to use it. And like I said, I was getting my sponsorship, still am getting my sponsorship payments on Algorand. So sometimes I take that and move it to fiat and pay bills and stuff, but sometimes I just invest it, Caitlin Guzman in the chat. Welcome, OG Frugal BC listener. Appreciate you being here. And Algo Gary giving a nice shout out. That is cool. Yeah, just a reminder, besides YouTube, we are on Kick. We are on Twitch. We now have the podcast, so we're on, we're not live, but our podcasts with a little bit of editing gets posted to Apple Podcasts and to Spotify, so you can listen to us there. If there's another platform, I think I can just add it pretty easily. So if you guys want to listen on another platform, let me know. And we're just trying that out. We're testing it out, see how it goes. Some people like to listen to it while you're walking around or you're, washing your dishes or what have you, working out, whatever, so we want it to be available there as well. We're going to get to our HBAR segment next. So I see who's all here. Hope everyone is having a great day. And I'm going to check up on, by the way, Bitcoin did the best of anything I've held, which is why my new strategy is just buying the dips on Bitcoin. And that's the main thing. You just do well. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, so HBAR going to be a little different. It's mostly going to be a video. Green Blue says can't scroll X in public because of all the dental floss these days. That's interesting. I never seem to get those. I've heard about it. I read a story today about how apparently Grok lets you do some really racy stuff to people's photos without their consent, and that's kind of wild. But that's kind of outside the scope of our stream. I'll just say it's happening, and it's kind of weird. We got Kevin Hawthorne saying good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. Welcome, Kevin. And nice to imagine, I don't know, is Florida pretty sunny right now? I imagine it's not as cold as where I am here up in the Northwoods. That's what I'll leave it at that. Oh, excuse me. I know, coughing on stream, not supposed to. Well, we got some Hedera news, so let's Algo Gary says interesting. Now, why is okay? Hold on. Did something happen? Apparently there's a pretty high profile murder there. You got a new mayor. Lakeland women killed in head-on collision. Man sentenced to death in killing a former Lakeland commissioner. Yeah. Is that what, are we talking? Okay. I don't know. I just thought maybe something major had happened recently. Oh, just because Algo Gary's near there too. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Which can I talk about? So, yeah, Hedera in 2025 had a huge year, just major stuff happening. And we just had that monthly, the recap, the 2025 recap. And it was actually crazy how much good news there was for Hedera and so much enterprise adoption. And like I've said for a long time, I think the fact that Hedera has so many big names sitting on its governing council I think that's a signal to people entering the crypto space, to companies coming in saying, well, these guys are trustworthy because look, these big names are involved. And you think that doesn't matter? It definitely does, because crypto right now, it's still kind of, it's kind of the new thing and people are a little cautious. So we've got some great news though today for crypto, and some on kind of the small end. And then we got some more adoption news. So we're going to cover that today. Let's dive in. Okay, and first up, we got Crypto Twits coming at us with Justin Hedera has surpassed Cardano in mindshare on stock twits so far this year. Did we got I was hoping they shared a chart with us. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, people are very, very happy about that, obviously. But that's pretty big because Cardano is pretty high up there on the market cap table, much higher than Hedera right now. So people are paying attention to Hedera. So don't sleep on Hedera. I think we had a couple Hedera fans in the audience. Well, now you're seeing it. This is your chance. And yeah, I think people are really caring about this. It's way up there. And I'm highlighting this post now. This post from Paul Barron. Now, Paul is not sharing anything that we don't already know. So you're not going to get a necessarily new information, but let's take a look at who Paul is. Paul has almost 200,000 followers on X. He is the #1 global crypto media technologist investor. How how do you just call yourself number one, I guess. It's pretty neat, but hey, that's a big shout out for Hedera to receive. Let's see what he has to say. He says Hedera is quietly becoming the backbone of the next financial revolution while markets speculates. HBAR is executing BlackRock money market fund tokenized on-chain via ArchX. We've heard about that. That's actually that's almost a year and a half old, isn't it? So I got in trouble. I shouted this one out, and this one really pumped the price, by the way. And I don't know, I got a lot of pushback, people saying that was like not necessarily like fake news, but I think they were saying that they felt like Hedera kind of like falsely pumped this up, like not FUD, but what would be the opposite of FUD? I guess overhyped. I don't know. I think that there was a lot of debate about whether it was truly a partnership or not, but like they coordinated with BlackRock. They actually approved the press release that they put out. So like that seems like a partnership. And a partnership doesn't always have to mean money is changing hands, There's a lot of different ways to do a partnership. Anyway, also ETF filings, Canary funds signaling Wall Street demand. And actually, I will say I was surprised at the amount of demand that the Canary ETF brought in. We shared a lot of updates on that. It just seems like more and more liquidity flowing into Hedera from Wall Street. And I was very surprised. I didn't think Wall Street would be that interested in a coin it's that far down the market cap table. And I know it's not that far down. It's in the low 20s, but I think Wall Street is still really kind of dipping their toes in the water comparatively. So I thought that was pretty good. And then trusted infrastructure used by major enterprises, not just degens. And like I said, this is what I was talking about. Just having those big names on the governance council like Google, IBM, all of those, huge, absolutely huge. Algo Gary says HBAR 20 cents and Algo 23 cents within the month that everything goes well. Well, hey, I will take either one of those, and I definitely will take both of those. But, I really like getting out of the business of making price predictions. I think with the 4-year cycle largely dead, I think that's a thing of the past. And here, this is how we're going to finish up now. We got Katie Evans, the CBDO of Swarm Markets, explaining why they chose Hedera to make publicly listed stocks such as Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, and MicroStrategy available as collateral on the Hedera HBAR network. So they chose HBAR. There's so much upside potential with this partnership. We got the YouTube video right here, so we're going to tune in. But Swarm Markets is a multi-asset RWA platform powered by SMT, own real stocks, bonds, and gold on chain, 100% backed, insolvency protected, DeFi compatible. I do my gold on chain. Like, I think it's a good way to own it. It just makes it a lot easier. So let's pull up this video. Just give me a second to make sure we got the... And you are not listening to me. There we go.
My name's Katie Evans, and I am the Chief Business Development Officer at Swarm. Swarm is very plainly an end-to-end protocol that brings traditional assets, financial assets like stocks, fixed income products, commodities, onto blockchain. I think from an early stage, we were able to separate the crypto asset from the underlying technology, and found that if you use this technology in a very interesting way, you could actually build and program traditional financial markets in a new way that allows you to not only do things more efficiently, but enables you to do new things as well with those assets. we announced with Hedera a couple months now ago that we were going to be deploying our assets onto the Hedera network. So what that means is we are enabling publicly listed stocks. Think of your Apples, Teslas, Nvidias, MicroStrategies of the world. Those will be available as collateral on the Hedera network. And the reason that that's important is because you'll be able to do things with those tokens like you would with any crypto asset available on the Hedera network. But crucially, these assets are completely uncorrelated to the current crypto assets that are available today. As we all know, when Bitcoin sneezes, all the other altcoins catch a cold. So it's really important that we have a diversity of assets available to people so that they can come up with interesting hedging strategies, portfolio construction, and lending capabilities as well.
So what you'll find, and I apologize, my comments got cut off before. What you'll find is that a lot of these companies, they're just really not that interested in the crypto itself. They just want the technology. Now, the coin is important for sustaining that technology, but it's not something they're going to care about. It's kind of what Silvio Macaulay was talking about when he started his fiat chain. Kind of same principle here. What they want is the technology, and Hedera provides a really good basis to tokenize assets on without, us, while keeping it separate from the assets, so they don't have to care about the Hedera price. I think that's going to be a really important aspect going forward. Like I said, Ondo this has kind of built their whole business on RWA, but that doesn't mean Hedera can't have a really strong RWA play, because it can, because it's got the big name institutions, these huge companies, these household name companies that people care about, and that gives it's a signal of legitimacy to a lot of these enterprise solutions.
So the reason Swarm chose to work with Hedera is twofold. Firstly, Hedera has stood the test of time when it comes to crypto markets. We've all seen crypto projects come and go, particularly with high highs and then the low lows of the market downturn. And it really is interesting to see who is left behind or is still able to continue and have that longevity. So for us, that was a major trust component to us wanting to choose to work with the Hedera Foundation and deploy onto the Hedera network. Secondly, and probably most crucially, Hedera has a very institutional focused and compliance first attitude in mind, and that exactly aligns with what we have at Swarm. All of our infrastructure is built with regulation in mind, with trust, with investor protection. Even in the absence of regulation, we've still built our infrastructure so that individual and institutional investors are protected. And I think the Hedera network certainly caters to those tenets as well. Swarm is looking at applying blockchain technology to traditional financial assets for a few reasons. Not only to rebuild financial markets that are more lean, more efficient, disintermediated, but it also not only enables access for more people around the world to get involved in these new market types, but it enables you to do things that you couldn't previously do before. Hedera is a crucial part of that puzzle because we believe that the community that they have built, the people that are using that chain, are absolutely perfect for this use case. The next 1 to 3 years, what does that look like for Hedera and Swarm? Honestly, I don't know if our brains can get there yet because there is so much upside potential with this partnership. We're starting off with enabling a certain amount of publicly listed stocks on the Hedera network. And in fact, we've worked with the foundation to actually add new assets to our EU prospectus. An EU prospectus, without getting too into the weeds of the legal and regulatory speak, puts us in quite a unique position because it means we can offer these assets to both retail investors and institutional investors, whereas mostly today with RWA providers, they can only serve on that institutional side, not on the retail side. So we've added new assets, which means people are going to be able to trade more assets specifically on the Hedera network. I'm really interested to see what people build on top of those assets as a result, because once you have issuance solved, which is what we're working on today, we'll then solve for trading, and then we'll then solve for lending through a series of partnerships. And I think when you start to see people lending against their tokenized Starbucks stock to then go and buy a cup of coffee. That's going to just like blow people's minds. And I think that's where this partnership could take us, but it could also go in myriad other ways as well.
I guess I see the point of that, because if you own assets, you don't necessarily want to, and I know she's probably using that example because it's like kind of a cute way to illustrate it, but I think that's something that seems funny about like owning Starbucks stock and then borrowing against it to go buy a cup of coffee. Like, I get the idea because that's a good way to avoid capital gains tax, is to borrow against your assets versus, borrowing against your assets versus actually selling stock and then, getting those capital gains taxes. So I guess that makes sense, but something seems funny about like at that like micro level, it seems like you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot in a way. Algo Gary says, I don't mind the angle they take. Nice to experiment as well. Yeah, I think it's I think you're going to see a lot. I think RWA is going to be the theme of 2026 for sure. I really do.
Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because I'm in the RWA space, and I do honestly believe it is blockchain's killer app right now. We've seen with stablecoins to begin with how this stuff can move on chain and work in a very effective cross-border way. And now we're adding the RWA sector to stablecoins. And when you start to look at, settling a fixed income product against a Turkish lira stablecoin or a euros denominated stablecoin, you can start to see some really interesting financial products coming to market that just have not been really available in today's current infrastructure.
That appears to be that. Yeah, so I think that's a huge play for the RWA space, is having this swarm company involved, and that can mean what that means for Hedera holders, by the way, because even if you don't care, like, if you're in the US and you're like, whatever, I can trade stocks the normal way and I'm fine with it, that's fine. Just the fact that the transactions that it will bring to Hedera, which will start increasing volume and activity, that's all good. That's all good for the network, and Hedera's TPS has been growing lately, which is nice to see. So I think that's really important. And yeah, it was nice to get that video. I'll give it a like. I can't share it in chat because this particular platform doesn't allow me to do that. But yeah, so that's our HBAR segment, and lots of good stuff. I thought we had some pretty good stuff in there today. So shout out if you like HBAR. And I'm just going to check. I'm not sure what happens when I go to my dashboard, so I just want to take a look here. It doesn't really show me much. Huh, I thought I could see stuff. I guess I can't. Interesting. Well, that's pretty much most of our HBAR is crashing with Bitcoin, says Julian Song. And by the way, welcome here. Yeah, we're starting to see things fall back a little bit. I mean, it's not much of a crash. It's a little pullback, HBAR. Yeah, it's about what it was. Actually, some of that pullback is being erased already. It's sitting at 12.6 cents. Algorand at 13. Oh, it's actually below 14 cents now, but interesting. Yeah, I mean, overall the trend is up, so that's good to see. And we seem to be some of the pullbacks are starting to reverse already, which is good. Yeah, Ethereum almost at level now in the 1 hour and still sitting up on the 24-hour. Bitcoin now 1.8. In fact, I can share it here. We'll do that one. Yeah. So Bitcoin under 2% down. in 24 hours. So it's actually starting to turn back around the other way, which is nice. Chain link back to 0 on the 1 hour. Starting to turn green. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I mean, I think we had a good show. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And like I said, we'll be back for another live stream on Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. In the meantime, check out our podcast, Frugal BC, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so you can listen on the go. And these live streams are available after the fact as well, so you can always watch them on YouTube, and they're on the YouTube podcast app as well. So all of that is available. But otherwise, thanks so much, guys. Algo Gary saying much love all. See you soon. Thanks to Catlin Gugman. Thanks to you as well. And Algo Gary, #1 commenter. In fact, #1, followed by Dr. Drummond and Begums. And yeah, I forgot to respond to your XRP chat, but yes, I bought, all of mine was 53 cents. That's my average. So I did very, very well on XRP. Okay. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Stay soon. Thanks so much. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Otherwise, I'm Frugal BC, and I will see you